Hi, this is Sari for Ada. We have a question from a woman that I'll just read or summarize. That she just turned 48 and was diagnosed with ADHD this year. And her question is, and her comment is that she's always felt different and not as intelligent as her peers. She says her memory is awful and she can't seem to put information I learn into a permanent mental memory folder, sort of speak. Do others have this problem? She says she's noticed some improvement with medication that she started 3 months ago. Is there anything else she can do to improve short and long-term memory? Well, you bring up so many important issues, especially for me as a psychotherapist, this feeling that you're not as intelligent as your peers. You know, we for so long go along before we understand equating intelligence with memory or intelligence with organization. And we have to, first of all, be able to separate those things. You can be highly intelligent and still have struggles with memory. Usually they're short-term or working memory problems, and that's usually caused by attention. So the main thing you can do to improve the idea that things are actually going into your memory are to really work with your attentional overload. And attention deficit disorder is really such a bad name, and it's really problems with shifting your attention, with prioritizing your attention, with stopping your attention, with starting your attention. And you can just imagine the pulls on your attention in a normal life, and especially for women, this is often overwhelming. So the one thing you can do right away is to start to work on reducing the amount of stimuli coming in at you at one time that you're forced to deal with. So it's called single tasking was the best way I've heard describe it, rather than multitasking. And to really start to get comfortable with the idea that you can set these limits in your life, and you can set up your life in a much better way for your brain, so you're not expected to, and you start setting limits on people's demands for your attention. So you can go into your office, for instance, and shut the door or put a sign up and saying, or at home even, that you're not to be disturbed for a certain length of time. Women have trouble with this because they think they're not being attentive to other people's needs. So learning to become aware of these cultural prohibitions on women that they have that often keep them attending to everybody's needs and keep them circling around so that they can make sure that everything is taken care of. So a lot of these come from inside this first entitlement that you need to get to feel that you're able to set limits on your attention. So focusing on one thing at a time, getting a sense memory of when you have a key. Jerry Markle, in one of her books, wonderful books, talks about, that you can look up, talks about, holding on to your keys for an extra moment, holding on to things, taking an extra moment to look at where you're parking, taking pictures even of where you've parked in a parking lot, using some devices as well as sense memories to really make sure that you're taking in the information. So let's start with the ability to take in the information and get it implanted, because often what seems like memory problems are often just difficulty with attention, and they're not even really getting in and getting implanted deeply enough. So that's a good start. Let's start with there, and then we can talk about other methods later on. But let's start with just taking the moment to embed something into your memory instead of letting it pass by, knowing that if you take something in, your working memory is not good, and that if you attend to something else even for a second, you're going to forget that. So making sure that you finish one memory implant at a time before you turn your attention to something else, along with feeling comfortable saying no and setting limits on how people can pull you away from what you're trying to pay attention to. Thank you.